Imagine a city where the heart of Rome pulses with the rhythm of trade and community. A place where people from across the vast empire gather to exchange goods and stories. Lucius, a 25-year-old spice merchant, lives in a modest home near Trajan's Market, a sprawling complex of shops and stalls at the center of Rome. The Romans have built an empire that spans from distant seas to towering mountains, and their markets are the lifeblood of the city. Lucius rises each morning to the sounds of merchants calling, carts rolling, and the hum of countless voices. He tends a stall in the market, a trade he inherited from his father, and he dreams of expanding his business, connecting Rome to the farthest reaches of the empire. The Romans believe their city is a crossroads, linking people, goods, and ideas from every corner of the world. Their lives are woven into the market, like threads in a tapestry, each transaction a part of a larger pattern. Lucius manages his stall, arranging sacks of spices, saffron from the east, pepper from distant lands, and cinnamon that carries the scent of faraway shores. He moves through the market, his steps steady and purposeful, greeting customers with a practiced smile. His wife, Flavia, weaves cloth at home, her hands creating intricate patterns that reflect Rome's glory. His uncle, a retired merchant, shares tales of the empire's past, filling Lucius's heart with pride. Lucius's favorite moments are the mornings when he opens his stall, surrounded by the bustle of Trajan's Market. He passes stalls filled with pottery, wine, and grains, each one a piece of Rome's vast trade network. The Romans trade with lands as far as Egypt and Persia, bringing wealth and diversity to their city. Lucius barters with customers, honing his skills in negotiation and learning the value of each spice. He believes that trade is more than selling goods. It is a way to forge connections, to share the bounty of the empire. Lucius feels a sense of purpose, knowing his work contributes to the prosperity of Rome. The market is a place of learning, where Lucius discovers the stories behind the goods he sells. A merchant from Gaul speaks of the forests where his wine is crafted, while another from Africa tells of the fields where his grain grows. Lucius learns that Rome is a city of many peoples, each bringing their own traditions to the market. He counts coins, weighs spices, and greets customers with respect, understanding that every transaction strengthens the community. The Romans believe that trade is a bond, a way to unite the empire's diverse peoples. Lucius takes these lessons to heart, seeing his role as part of a larger cycle that keeps Rome thriving. Lucius's uncle speaks of a festival tomorrow, dedicated to Ceres, the goddess of grain and abundance. The Romans will gather to give thanks for the harvest, sharing food and songs in her honor. Lucius has attended the festival before, but each year it renews his connection to the city and its gods. His uncle explains that the festival is a way to honor Ceres and ensure Rome's prosperity. Lucius imagines the songs he will hear, the offerings he will make, and the faces of his neighbors gathered together. He feels a spark of anticipation, knowing this moment will deepen his bond with his people. The Romans' connection to their city is profound, rooted in centuries of building and trading. They mark the seasons by the festivals they celebrate, planting in spring and harvesting in autumn. They use every part of the goods they trade, wasting nothing. Lucius helps Flavia sort cloth, learning the patterns that tell Rome's story. He carries water from the Tiber River, feeling the weight of his contribution to his family's work. The Romans teach their merchants to respect the city, to see it as a living place that provides and must be honored with care. Lucius's dreams are filled with the market's sounds, its scents, its stories. He envisions expanding his trade, bringing new spices to Rome, and sharing their stories with his customers. Tomorrow's festival feels like a step toward that dream, a chance to celebrate with his people. As he prepares for the day, he packs a basket with spices for the festival, selecting the finest saffron as an offering. Flavia checks her woven cloth, ensuring it is ready to share. The family works together, their actions a quiet prayer to the city and its gods. The Romans' traditions are a living thread connecting the past to the present. Lucius knows the names of the spices he sells: saffron for flavor, pepper for warmth, cinnamon for sweetness. He learns the prayers that accompany their work, each one an offering to the gods. The Romans believe that every action, from trading a spice to weaving a cloth, honors the city. Lucius feels a deep connection to his people and their market, knowing that the festival will be a moment of renewal, a chance to strengthen his ties to Rome. As the night deepens, he rests, his dreams filled with the promise of tomorrow, ready to join his people in celebration. Inside their home, Lucius sits with his wife Flavia, sorting spices for the next day's market. His fingers move carefully, separating saffron threads from pepper grains, each spice a treasure from distant lands. Flavia weaves at her loom, her hands creating patterns that tell stories of Rome's triumphs. Lucius's uncle, a retired merchant, shares tales of his travels across the empire, filling the room with the wisdom of the past. Lucius dreams of growing his trade, of bringing new goods to Rome, and strengthening his family's place in the market. Every morning, Lucius tends his stall in Trajan's market, arranging spices and greeting customers with a practiced nod. He weighs goods, counts coins, and barters with skill, learning the rhythms of trade. The Romans trade with lands across the empire, from the deserts of Egypt to the forests of Britannia, and their markets are a hub of connection. Lucius's uncle taught him the value of each spice, explaining how saffron can flavor a feast and pepper can warm a dish. The family's stall is a small but vital part of the market, a thread in the tapestry of Rome's commerce. The Romans live with purpose, their lives shaped by a deep respect for trade and community. Lucius learns this through his daily tasks, carrying sacks to the stall, cleaning the scales, and helping Flavia dye cloth with plants. He listens to his uncle's stories of journeys to distant ports, of markets filled with exotic goods and unfamiliar tongues. These stories are lessons about fairness in trade, respect for customers, and the bonds that tie the Romans together. Lucius feels a sense of responsibility, knowing his work supports not only his family, but the city itself. Tonight, Lucius's uncle speaks of the festival of Ceres, a time to give thanks for the harvest and seek the goddess's blessing. The family will bring spices to offer at the temple, a gesture of gratitude for Rome's prosperity. Lucius imagines the festival, the songs, and the shared meals that will unite the Romans. He has joined the festival before, but each time it strengthens his connection to his people. His uncle explains that the festival is a way to renew the Romans' bond with the land and each other, a moment to honor the gods who guide their city. Lucius lies in his bed, his mind filled with the stories and the promise of the festival. He thinks of the spices he trades, each one a link to the world beyond Rome. He thinks of the market, the stall, and the prayers that bind his family together. The Romans' way of life is a cycle, like the seasons, and Lucius feels himself woven into it. He closes his eyes, his heart steady, ready for the festival where he will share in his people's traditions. He imagines the offerings he will make, the songs he will sing, and the faces of his neighbors gathered in unity. The family prepares for the festival with care. Flavia packs a basket with cloth to offer at the temple, explaining the meaning of each pattern to Lucius. He helps, learning the importance of gratitude in every task. His uncle teaches him to assess the quality of spices, to smell their freshness and weigh their value. The Romans' knowledge of trade is vast, built over centuries of commerce with the world. Lucius feels a growing sense of duty, knowing he will carry the family's trade forward. He practices a prayer his uncle taught him, a request for the gods to bless their work and their city. The home is a place of learning, where every task carries meaning. Lucius watches Flavia dye cloth with madder root, creating a deep red that reflects Rome's strength. He learns that each color tells a story, each pattern a piece of history. His uncle shows him how to record sales, using tallies to track their goods. Lucius feels a deep connection to his family, knowing their work is part of a larger whole, a way of life that honors the past and prepares for the future. As he rests, he dreams of the festival, ready to embrace the rituals and prayers that await him. At dawn, Lucius and his family set out for the Temple of Ceres, their footsteps steady on the stone streets of Rome. The Romans hold this temple as a sacred place where they honor the goddess of grain and abundance. Today they gather for the festival of Ceres, giving thanks for the harvest and seeking her blessing for the year ahead. Lucius carries a basket of spices as an offering, feeling the weight of the moment. He walks beside Flavia, who hums a quiet prayer, her voice blending with the sounds of the waking city. Lucius feels a spark of anticipation, knowing this festival will renew his bond with his people and their gods. As they reach the temple, Lucius sees other Roman families gathered, their faces reflecting reverence and joy. Merchants, artisans, and farmers stand together, their presence a testament to the strength of their community. A priest begins the festival, offering grain to Ceres and sprinkling water from the Tiber as a gesture of gratitude. The Romans join in song, their voices rising in a melody that speaks of thanks for the fields, the harvests, and the city's prosperity. Lucius listens, his heart swelling with pride and wonder. The songs tell of Ceres's gifts, of the cycles of planting and reaping, and of Rome's connection to the land. Flavia explains that the festival is more than a ceremony. It is a way to strengthen the Romans' bond with the gods and each other. The priest leads the people in rituals, offering spices and grain to the four directions: for dawn, south for warmth, west for rest, and north for strength. The Romans sing prayers for abundance, health, and peace, their voices weaving together like threads in a cloth. Lucius watches as the priests move with grace, their actions a reminder of Rome's devotion. He feels the power of the moment, as if the temple itself is listening, holding the Romans in its embrace. Lucius joins the circle, holding a handful of saffron threads, and offers them to the altar as a gesture of gratitude. Flavia guides him, teaching him the words of a prayer. May the fields yield plenty. May the city prosper. May our hearts walk in harmony. Lucius repeats the words, feeling their meaning deep within him. The prayer is a promise to honor the gods and the land, to live in balance with the world. The festival is a tapestry of rituals, each one a thread in Rome's story. The people share food, bread, olives, and wine, passing baskets from hand to hand, a symbol of their unity. Lucius tastes the bread, its flavor rich and comforting, a reminder of the goddess's gifts. The festival continues through the morning, with songs and prayers filling the air. Lucius learns the names of the gods invoked in the chant series for abundance, Liber for wine, and Libra for fertility. The priests share tales of Rome's past, of how the city grew from a small village to a great empire through the blessings of the gods. These stories connect Lucius to his ancestors, reminding him of their devotion. The Romans believe that these tales keep their culture alive, ensuring their lives remain in balance with the divine. Lucius feels a sense of belonging, knowing he is part of a community bound by shared beliefs. The priests speak of Rome's history, of times when harvests failed and the people faced hardship. They tell of how the Romans came together, sharing resources and offering prayers to Ceres to restore the land. Lucius listens, his heart filled with admiration for his people's resilience. He imagines standing with his ancestors, sharing their prayers and hope. The festival is a reminder that the Romans are never alone, that their community is a source of strength. Flavia tells him that the prayers he offers today will guide him through life, teaching him to live with gratitude and devotion. As the festival draws to a close, the Romans gather in a final prayer, their voices rising in a song of gratitude. Lucius joins in, his voice steady, feeling the strength of his people around him. The priest blesses the crowd, sprinkling water over them, a gesture of protection and renewal. Flavia smiles, telling Lucius that the festival will stay with him, shaping his understanding of his role in Rome. Lucius feels a deep connection to his people, knowing this moment is a step toward honoring their traditions. The journey back to the market is quiet, with the Romans walking together, their hearts full of the songs and prayers shared. He joins his uncle at the banks of the Tiber River, where goods arrive from across the empire. The Romans call the Tiber the lifeblood of the city, a river that carries grain, wine, and spices to their markets. The river is alive with activity, with boats arriving from Ostia and beyond, each one a link to the world beyond Rome. Lucius feels a sense of purpose, knowing his work connects the city to distant lands. It is a path that connects Rome to its empire, bringing wealth and diversity. His uncle explains that trade along the Tiber is a sacred duty, one that honors the gods who protect the city. His uncle teaches him to respect the boatmen, to value their work and the goods they bring. The Romans believe that every exchange strengthens the empire, building bonds between peoples. Lucius takes these lessons to heart, seeing his role as part of a larger cycle that keeps Rome thriving. Flavia joins them, bringing cloth to trade with other merchants. The market is a place of connection, where Romans share not only goods, but stories and traditions. The Romans worked together, rebuilding docks and sharing resources, showing their resilience. Lucius listens, his heart filled with admiration for his people's strength. The Romans honor the Tiber with offerings, leaving small gifts of grain and wine at its banks. Lucius feels proud to be part of this tradition, knowing his work sustains his family and city. Lucius thinks of the Tiber, its steady flow, and the goods that arrive each day. He feels grateful for the market, the river, and the knowledge passed down to him. The Romans' way of life is a cycle, like the river's current, and Lucius feels woven into it. He imagines the festival of Ceres, the songs, and the unity of his people. Knowing his work in the market continues those traditions. As he rests, his heart is full, ready to learn more about the trade that connects Rome to the world. He thinks about the stories and traditions of his people who have built Rome into a city of trade and community. The Romans' culture is rich with beauty, from their markets to their festivals. Imagine standing with Lucius, feeling the rhythm of the river. He knows that the Romans' traditions are a gift passed down through generations, keeping their culture alive. He thinks of the spices he trades, each one a connection to the world beyond Rome. Lucius feels pride, knowing he will carry these traditions forward. He imagines teaching others one day, sharing the stories and skills that have shaped his life. The Romans' way of life is a cycle, like the seasons, and Lucius feels part of it. Lucius thinks of the songs he heard at the festival, the voices of his people rising together. He recalls the priests' prayers, the offerings to Ceres, and the stories of Rome's past. These moments are sacred, a reminder of the Romans' strength and resilience. Lucius knows his people have faced challenges, floods, scarce harvests, but they have always thrived. He feels grateful for the knowledge passed down to him, the lessons that teach him to live in harmony with the city. Lucius returns to the market, ready to learn more, knowing his people's traditions will endure, carried by the songs and stories of his family. Lucius stands at his stall in Trajan's market, the morning air filled with the familiar hum of merchants and customers. Today, a new shipment of spices arrives from the east, and Lucius prepares to meet traders from lands beyond the empire's borders. The Romans have long welcomed foreigners to their city, their markets a meeting place for people from every corner of the world. Lucius sorts through sacks of cinnamon and cloves, his hands steady as he checks their quality. His wife, Flavia, joins him, bringing a basket of woven cloth to trade. Lucius feels a spark of curiosity, eager to learn from the strangers who bring new goods and stories to Rome. A trader from Parthia, a land far beyond the Euphrates, arrives at the stall, his robes dyed in colors Lucius has never seen. The man speaks in halting Latin, offering rare spices in exchange for Roman wine. Lucius listens, fascinated by the trader's tales of desert caravans and bustling markets in distant cities. The Romans believe that trade is a bridge connecting their empire to the world beyond. Lucius barters, carefully offering pepper for the Parthians' saffron, learning the value of each good. The trader shares a story of a spice route that stretches across mountains and rivers, a journey that brings wealth to both their lands. Lucius's uncle joins them, his eyes bright with memories of his own travels. He tells Lucius of a time when he traded with merchants from India, learning their customs and sharing Roman goods. The Romans value these exchanges, seeing them as a way to strengthen their city and its ties to the world. Lucius learns to greet the Parthian trader with respect, offering a small gift of Roman bread as a gesture of goodwill. The trader smiles, accepting the gift and sharing a handful of dates from his homeland. Lucius feels a sense of connection, knowing that these moments of trade are a thread in the tapestry of Rome's empire. The market buzzes with activity as more foreigners arrive, merchants from Syria, Egypt, and even the distant lands of the Silk Road. Lucius listens to their stories, learning of faraway cities where spices grow and silks are woven. He realizes that Rome is more than a city. It is a crossroads where the world meets. His uncle teaches him to record these transactions, noting the goods and their origins in a ledger. The Romans keep careful records, ensuring their trade is fair and their city prospers. Lucius feels a growing sense of responsibility, knowing that his work helps sustain Rome's connections to the world. Flavia speaks with a Syrian merchant, trading her cloth for a jar of myrrh. She tells Lucius that each trade is a story, a way to learn about the people who share their goods. The Romans believe that every merchant, no matter where they come from, is part of their city's strength. Lucius helps Flavia arrange the new goods, feeling proud to be part of this cycle of exchange. He thinks of the festival of Ceres, where the Romans came together to honor the gods, and realizes that the market is another kind of gathering, one that unites people through trade. Lucius's uncle shares a tale of a time when foreign traders brought news of a distant war, prompting the Romans to strengthen their markets. The city adapted, welcoming new goods and learning from new peoples. Lucius listens, his heart filled with admiration for Rome's resilience. He imagines himself traveling to distant lands one day, bringing back spices and stories to share with his people. The Romans' way of life is a cycle, like the seasons, and Lucius feels woven into it. He learns a new prayer from his uncle, a request for the gods to bless their trade and protect their city. Lucius thinks of the Parthian merchant, his tales of desert caravans, and the dates he shared. The Romans' market is a place of unity, where strangers become part of the city's story. Lucius feels grateful for the knowledge he has gained, the lessons that teach him to live in harmony with the world. He rests, his heart steady, ready to continue his work in the market, knowing that each trade strengthens Rome. The next morning, Lucius visits an artisan's workshop in Trajan's market, where potters and weavers create goods for trade. The Romans value their artisans, whose work brings beauty and utility to the city. Lucius has been asked to trade spices for pottery, and he wants to learn more about the craft that shapes Rome's markets. He steps into the workshop, where a potter named Marcus shapes clay into amphory vessels that will carry wine and oil across the empire. Lucius feels a spark of curiosity, eager to understand the skills that complement his own trade. Marcus welcomes Lucius, showing him how to mold clay on a wheel. The potter's hands move with precision, turning a lump of clay into a graceful jar. Lucius tries his hand at the wheel, his fingers clumsy but eager, learning the patience required for the craft. Marcus explains that his amphorae are used by merchants like Lucius, carrying goods to distant lands and bringing wealth back to Rome. Lucius feels a sense of connection, knowing that his spices and Marcus's pottery are part of the same cycle. Flavia joins Lucius, bringing her woven cloth to trade with the artisans. The weaver shows her a design inspired by the Tiber, its lines flowing like the river's current. Lucius listens, learning that each craft tells a story, just as his spices do. The Romans value their artisans for their ability to create beauty and utility, strengthening the city's markets. Lucius trades a sack of pepper for an amphora, feeling proud to support the artisans who share his market. Marcus tells Lucius of a time when the artisans worked together to rebuild the market after a fire, crafting new goods to replace those lost. The Romans came together, sharing their skills and resources, showing their resilience. Lucius listens, his heart filled with admiration for his people's unity. He imagines the workshop filled with artisans, their hands shaping clay and weaving cloth, each creation a thread in Rome's story. The Romans' way of life is a cycle of creation and trade, and Lucius feels woven into it, his work as a merchant complementing the artisan's craft. Lucius helps Marcus clean the workshop, learning the importance of care in every task. The potter teaches him to fire clay, showing him how to control the kiln's heat. Lucius feels a sense of accomplishment, knowing that his efforts contribute to the market's prosperity. Flavia shares a prayer with the artisans, a request for the gods to bless their work. The prayer is a gesture of gratitude, ensuring the artisans' creations endure. Lucius joins in, his voice blending with theirs, feeling the strength of their shared purpose. The day ends with Lucius and Flavia returning to their stall, carrying the new amphora. They talk of the artisans they met, their skills, and the stories they shared. Lucius thinks of Marcus, his steady hands shaping clay, and the weaver's patterns that tell Rome's story. The Romans' market is a place of creation, where artisans and merchants work together to build a thriving city. Lucius feels grateful for the knowledge he has gained, the lessons that teach him to live in harmony with his people. He rests, his heart full, ready to continue his trade, knowing that each exchange strengthens Rome's legacy. One evening, Lucius visits the Roman Forum, where merchants, senators, and citizens gather to share news and stories. The Romans see the Forum as the heart of their city, a place where the past and present meet. Lucius sits with an elder named Gaius, a retired merchant who once traded in Trajan's market. Gaius shares tales of Rome's history, his voice steady and warm, filling Lucius's heart with pride. Lucius feels a spark of curiosity, eager to learn more about the city that shapes his life as a merchant. Gaius tells the story of Romulus, the founder of Rome, who built the city on the banks of the Tiber. He speaks of how Romulus united 7 hills, creating a home for a people who would grow into an empire. The Romans believe that their city's history is a guide, teaching them to live with courage and wisdom. Gaius explains that the Forum has been a place of gathering for centuries, where Romans make laws, trade goods, and honor their gods. Lucius listens, feeling a connection to his ancestors, whose work laid the foundation for the market he serves. Lucius asks Gaius about the market's history, and the elder tells of a time when Trajan's market was built, a gift from the emperor to his people. The market brought merchants together, creating a space where Rome's wealth could grow. Gaius shares stories of merchants who faced storms that delayed shipments, rivals who competed for trade but always found a way to thrive. The Romans' resilience is a source of strength, a reminder that their city endures through unity. Lucius feels inspired, knowing that his work as a merchant continues this legacy. She shares a story of her own, of how her mother taught her to weave patterns that honor Rome's gods. The Romans believe that every story is a thread connecting the past to the present. Gaius teaches Lucius a prayer for the Forum, a request for the gods to bless the city's heart. Lucius repeats the words, feeling their meaning deep within him. The prayer is a gesture of gratitude, a way to honor the ancestors who built Rome. Lucius feels a sense of duty, knowing he must carry these stories forward. Gaius speaks of a time when the Romans faced a crisis, when grain shortages threatened the city. The merchants of the Forum worked together, sharing resources and praying to Ceres for relief. Their unity saved Rome, proving that the city's strength lies in its people. Lucius listens, his heart filled with admiration for his ancestors' resilience. He imagines standing in the Forum with them, sharing their stories and their hope. The Romans' way of life is a cycle, like the seasons, and Lucius feels part of it, his trade a continuation of their work. Lucius and Flavia return home, their minds filled with Gaius's stories. They share a meal, talking of the Forum and the history it holds. Lucius thinks of Romulus, the merchants, and the prayers that guide Rome. The Forum is a place of connection, where Romans come together to build their future. Lucius feels grateful for the knowledge he has gained, the lessons that teach him to live with pride and purpose. He rests, his heart steady, ready to return to the market, knowing that his work carries forward the stories of his people. Years later, Lucius is a seasoned merchant, his stall in Trajan's market, a hub of trade and stories. He now mentors younger merchants, teaching them the skills he learned from his father and uncle. The Romans continue to thrive, their markets alive with the sounds of commerce and community. Lucius arranges his spices, saffron, pepper, and cinnamon with care, his hands steady from years of practice. He shows a young merchant, Titus, how to weigh goods and barter fairly, passing down the traditions that have shaped his life. Lucius teaches Titus the story of Ceres, the goddess who blesses the harvest. Explaining how her festival unites the Romans, he shares the importance of offering spices at the temple, a gesture of gratitude for the city's prosperity. Titus listens, his eyes bright with curiosity, and Lucius feels a sense of pride in passing on these lessons. He teaches a prayer for trade, a request for the gods to guide their work. The Romans' traditions are a living thing, carried forward by each generation, and Lucius feels honored to be part of this cycle. Lucius visits the Forum, where he once listened to Gaius's stories. The Romans still gather there, their voices rising in debates and prayers. Lucius shares tales of his own, of trades with Parthian merchants and artisans who shaped Rome's markets. The younger merchants listen, learning the history that guides their work. Lucius sees the strength of his community in the Forum, where decisions are made with wisdom and care, ensuring Rome's prosperity. The Romans adapt to new challenges, welcoming traders from new lands while holding fast to their traditions. Lucius teaches Titus to trade along the Tiber, showing him how to check shipments and respect the boatmen. He explains that the river is Rome's lifeblood, connecting the city to the world. Titus helps unload a barge, learning the value of each good. Lucius feels a deep connection to his ancestors, knowing that their wisdom lives on in his work. The Romans' legacy is not just in their stories, but in their daily actions, in the way they trade and care for each other. Lucius knows that his mentoring ensures the market's traditions endure. Lucius thinks of the festival of Ceres, the artisans, and the stories of the Forum. He remembers the prayers he offered, the spices he traded, and the unity of his people. The Romans' culture lives on in their markets, their crafts, and the voices of their merchants. Lucius knows that Titus will carry these traditions forward, just as he has done. He visits the Tiber, where he once sat with Flavia, and thinks of the stories that have shaped his life. The Romans' resilience is a source of pride, a reminder that their city is strong enough to face any challenge. Lucius sings a prayer for the market, his voice soft in the quiet evening, knowing that Rome's legacy will endure, carried by the merchants who follow him. He feels grateful for his uncle's teachings, for the lessons of trade and community, and for the songs that guide his people. The Romans' market is a testament to their strength, a place where stories and goods are shared across generations. Lucius rests his heart full knowing that his work has helped preserve Rome's legacy. Lucius, now older, returns to his home, holding a small amphora from the artisan Marcus, a symbol of his life's work. The night is quiet, the stars bright above, guiding him as they guided his ancestors. The Romans' traditions live in their markets, their crafts, and their love for the city. Lucius thinks of the festival of Ceres, the Tiber, and the stories that have shaped his life. He remembers the songs he sang, the spices he traded, and the lessons of his uncle. The Romans' legacy is a gift, one that has carried him through life with purpose and gratitude. Lucius sits by the fire, Flavia beside him, and thinks of the market that has been his home. Its steady rhythm has been a constant in his life, a reminder of Rome's connection to the world. He thinks of the Forum, where stories of Romulus and the merchants still echo, and the artisans whose work brings beauty to the city. Lucius feels grateful for his people's resilience, their ability to adapt while holding fast to their traditions. He knows that the younger merchants, like Titus, will carry these ways forward, trading goods and sharing stories. The Romans' culture is a living thing, passed down through generations, and Lucius feels honored to be part of it. The Romans' legacy is a treasure, one that continues to inspire. Take a moment to reflect on this legacy. You can honor it by learning more about the Roman people, visiting their ancient sites, or sharing their stories with others. The Romans' way of life is a reminder to live in balance, to respect the bonds of community, and to cherish the connections that unite us. Lucius thinks of the trades he has made, the prayers he has offered, and the market that binds his people. Each one is a connection to his ancestors, a thread in the tapestry of Rome's history. Lucius rests, his heart full, carried by the peace of the night. He thinks of the Tiber, its gentle flow, and the stories that flow through his people. The Romans' traditions are a light in the darkness, guiding them through time. Lucius knows that his work as a merchant, mentor, and storyteller is part of this legacy, a way to keep Rome's culture alive. He closes his eyes, his heart steady, feeling the presence of his ancestors in the quiet night. The Roman songs and stories will live on, carried by Titus and those who follow, a river of stories that flows forever. As the stars shine over Rome, Lucius stands at the edge of Trajan's market, the city quiet under the blanket of night. The hum of merchants and the clatter of carts have faded, leaving only the gentle murmur of the Tiber River in the distance. Lucius holds the small amphora from the artisan Marcus, its smooth clay warm in his hands, a symbol of his life's work and the legacy of his people. The Romans have built a city that thrives on trade, community, and the stories that bind them. And Lucius feels the weight of this legacy, a thread woven through his years in the market. Lucius thinks of the journey that has shaped him from the mornings spent sorting spices with Flavia to the festival of Ceres, where he offered saffron to the goddess of abundance. He recalls the Parthian traders' tales of desert caravans, the potter's hands shaping clay, and the elder Gaius's stories of Romulus in the Forum. Each moment is a piece of Rome, a city that lives through the efforts of its merchants, artisans, and citizens. The Romans' way of life is a cycle, like the seasons, and Lucius knows he has played his part, trading goods, sharing stories, and mentoring younger merchants like Titus to carry the traditions forward. The market, with its endless flow of goods and voices, is a testament to Rome's resilience. Lucius remembers the challenges his people have faced: floods that swelled the Tiber, shortages that tested their strength, but they have always endured, united by their shared purpose. He thinks of the prayers he offered to Ceres, the songs he sang with his neighbors, and the bonds he forged with traders from distant lands. These moments are the heart of Rome, a city built not just on stone and trade, but on the spirit of its people. Lucius feels a deep gratitude for the lessons passed down to him. From his uncle's tales of distant ports to Flavia's woven patterns that tell Rome's story, the Romans' legacy is a river, flowing through time, carrying their traditions to future generations. Lucius imagines Titus standing at this same stall one day, trading spices and sharing the stories of their city. He sees the market continuing to thrive, its stalls filled with goods from across the empire, its air alive with the voices of merchants and artisans. The Romans' culture is a gift, one that endures in their markets, their festivals, and the wisdom of their elders. Lucius knows that his work has helped preserve this legacy, ensuring that Rome's heart continues to beat. As you rest tonight, let the echoes of Rome linger in your mind. The story of Lucius and his market is a window into a world of trade, community, and resilience. You can carry this story forward, explore a museum of Roman history, read about the empire's vast trade networks, or visit the ancient ruins where merchants like Lucius once stood. Each step you take to learn more brings you closer to the Romans' world, a world that continues to inspire through its stories and traditions. The Romans' legacy is a reminder to live with purpose, to cherish the connections that unite us, and to honor the past as we build the future. Lucius turns toward home, the amphora still in his hands, its weight a reminder of the life he has built. He thinks of Flavia waiting by the fire, and the younger merchants who will carry Rome's traditions forward. The Tiber flows gently, its rhythm a constant in his life, a symbol of the stories that flow through his people. Lucius feels a sense of peace, knowing that his work, his prayers, and his stories are part of Rome's enduring legacy. He closes his eyes, carried by the quiet of the night, his heart full of gratitude for the city that has shaped him. The Romans' songs and stories will live on, a river of history that flows forever, guiding those who follow in its current. As the story fades into the quiet of the night, we hope its echoes linger, carrying you toward rest and reflection. At Sleepy Story, we weave tales of ancient worlds to soothe your mind and honor the past. From the markets of great cities to the traditions of distant lands, each narrative is a thread in the tapestry of history, a reminder of the resilience and wisdom that shape our shared human story. We invite you to carry this piece with you, letting it guide you into a gentle sleep. The lives you've heard tonight, whether of merchants trading spices or artisans crafting beauty, are a window into the strength of those who came before us. Their stories live on, not just in these tales, but in the history that surrounds us. We encourage you to explore this world, further visit a museum, read a book about ancient cultures, or share these stories with others. By subscribing to Sleepy Story, you can join us for more journeys through time, each one crafted to educate and calm, a gift for your evenings and dreams. Thank you for listening to Sleepy Story, for letting us guide you through the past with tales that comfort and inspire. Our channel is here to be your companion, offering new stories to lull you into rest night after night. Subscribe to stay with us to discover more about the people and places that shaped history, and to find tranquility in their legacy. As you close your eyes, let the rhythm of these stories like a gentle river, carry you forward. The past is always with us, its lessons a quiet light in the darkness. Good night from Sleepy Story, and may your dreams be filled with the echoes of history, guiding you to a peaceful rest.